Welcome back to Us Mint Mysteries. Today, we have something truly electrifying for you. We're diving deep into the world of the legendary Murcury dime, one of the most iconic coins in American history. But here's the twist. Hidden among these small silver dimes are a handful so rare, so extraordinary, that they can fetch jaw-dropping prices, reaching into the hundreds of thousands, even pushing past $500,000. Yes, you heard that right. A single Murcury dime, the size of your thumbnail, could change everything. So grab your seat, because the coins I'm about to reveal are not just pocket change, they are treasures that could turn an ordinary find into an unbelievable fortune. And if you love rare coin stories as much as I do, make sure you hit that subscribe button right now so you never miss another shocking discovery. The first Murcury dime on our list takes us all the way back to 1936. Now, at first glance, this might just look like an ordinary silver dime from the Great Depression era. But don't let its size fool you. What you're looking at is a coin that holds more than 80 years of history, and in fine condition like this one, it's nothing short of a hidden treasure. The Murcury dime, officially known as the Winged Liberty Head dime, was designed by Adolph A. Weinman, the same brilliant artist who gave us the Walking Liberty $50. On the obverse, you'll see Lady Liberty wearing a winged cap, a symbol of freedom of thought. Collectors nicknamed it the Murcury dime because she resembles the Roman god Mercury. Flip it over, and you'll find a fasces, a bundle of rods with an axe, representing unity and strength wrapped in olive branches for peace. It's one of the most beautiful, meaningful designs in all of American coinage. Now here's where things get exciting. The year 1936 wasn't just any year. America was clawing its way out of the Great Depression, and people clung to every cent they had. Many of these dimes circulated heavily, which means finding one today in fine condition is already impressive. The silver content alone gives it value, but the collector market is where the magic really happens. In circulated grades, a 1936 Murcury dime like this might start at just a few dollars, but as the condition improves, the price skyrockets. Move into uncirculated territory, and you're easily talking hundreds, even thousands. And here's the kicker. Rare errors from this year, like doubled dies, repunched mint marks, or full bands on the reverse fasces, can send the value into the stratosphere. Imagine holding a dime worth $50,000, $100,000, or even more, all from a coin most people would overlook as ordinary pocket change. Collectors prize the 1936 issue because of its strike quality and the historical context. Some examples in pristine mint state with strong full bands have shattered records, bringing in more than $450,000 at major auctions. Think about that, a single dime piece of silver smaller than a nickel, commanding nearly $500,000. That's the kind of story that makes coin collecting so thrilling. So, how can you tell if your 1936 Murcury dime is a winner? Start by examining the reverse. Do the horizontal bands in the center of the fasces appear fully separated and sharp? That's the hallmark of a high-value, full bands dime. Next, check for clarity in the details. Liberty's curls, the feathers on her winged cap, and the sharpness of the lettering. Even the tiniest improvement in detail can mean a huge jump in value. And don't forget to inspect closely for errors. A misaligned die, an over-polished surface, or even a slight doubling in the letters could transform an ordinary dime into a life-changing find. Holding a 1936 Murcury dime in fine condition, like the one we're looking at now, feels like stepping back into a time when every dime mattered, when bread was a nickel, and when silver coins jingled in every pocket. But in the right hands, this little dime could be worth more than a new car, more than a house, even more than most people's retirement savings. That's the power of rare coins. And here's the best part, this is just the beginning. We've only scratched the surface with the 1936 Murcury dime, and already, we're talking about values soaring into the hundreds of thousands. But wait until you see the next coin, because it only gets rarer, more dramatic, and even more shocking. Next up, we move to the year 1942, a year that changed the course of history, both for the United States and for the world. America was on the brink of entering World War II, and every single coin minted carried the weight of a nation preparing for sacrifice. The Murcury dime of 1942 is a perfect reflection of that era, and while many circulated heavily in everyday commerce, some hold secrets so powerful that they've stunned collectors for decades. At first glance, this dime might appear ordinary silver, worn just enough to show its age, but the story beneath the surface is jaw-dropping. The obverse still carries Weinmann's wing Liberty, her cap of freedom standing tall, while the reverse proudly displays the fasces of unity and strength wrapped in olive branches of peace. But in 1942, something remarkable happened at the U.S. Mint that created one of the most famous errors in American coinage. You see, in that year, the Mint was transitioning from making Murcury dimes to preparing the new Jefferson nickels and wartime coinage. Somewhere along the line, a few dies were mismatched, and the now legendary 1942 41st overdate Murcury dime was born. To the untrained eye, it looks like any other dime, but under magnification, you'll notice the 2 stamped right over a faint 1 in the date. This was no intentional design. It was an accident, a mint worker's oversight, and it turned into one of the most valuable dimes ever created. Even in circulated condition, the 1942 41st overdate error can command staggering sums, tens of thousands of dollars for a piece that most people would drop into a soda machine without thinking twice. And in uncirculated condition, auction houses have seen these dimes sell for $200,000, $350,000, and even crossing the $450,000 mark when the strike is sharp and the luster untouched. Imagine holding a coin smaller than a nickel and realizing it could buy a luxury home outright. That's the kind of shock the Murcury dime delivers. Now, not every 1942 dime is an overdate, of course. Most are standard issues, but even those can bring strong value depending on condition. A fine condition example like the one we're looking at might start at a modest collector's price, perhaps a few dollars over silver melt. But as you climb the grading scale into uncirculated, the prices soar. And if you happen to spot those coveted full bands on the reverse, you've struck collector gold. Those full-band 1942 Murcury dimes have been known to bring 4- and 5-figure sums, even without the famous overdate error. So, how do you identify a potentially valuable 1942 dime? First, check the date under magnification. If you see the faint shadow of a 1 beneath the 2, you could be staring at one of the most legendary U.S. error coins ever minted. Next, examine the reverse. Look for sharp, distinct horizontal lines on the fasces. If they're complete and not blurred, you may have a full bands example. And finally, check for overall condition. Even slight improvements in sharpness can mean thousands of dollars difference when it comes time to sell. Think about it: a dime struck during the chaos of World War II, a coin that carried the hopes of a struggling nation, could now be worth more than most people's retirement accounts. That's why the 1942 Murcury dime has become a dream coin for so many collectors. It's a piece of history, a work of art, and in rare cases, a ticket to life-changing wealth. And here's the crazy part: we're only 2 coins in, and already, we've seen potential values hitting the $450,000 mark. Can you imagine what the next coin might reveal? Stick with me, because the next Murcury dime on this list pushes the rarity and shock factor even further. And before we move on, if you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button because you won't want to miss the treasures coming up next. Now, let's travel to 1944, in the heart of World War II. By this time, the Murcury dime had already become a familiar face in every pocket across America. Soldiers carried them overseas, families used them to stretch their rations, and every dime felt like it mattered more than ever. And while millions of these 1944 dimes were minted, a select few have risen above the rest, turning into extraordinary treasures worth small fortunes today. When you hold a 1944 Murcury dime in fine condition, like the one we're looking at now, you're holding a piece of history that jingled through the most uncertain days of the 20th century. Weinmann's design of Lady Liberty in her winged cap, symbolizing freedom of thought, feels especially powerful during wartime. The reverse, with its fasces of unity and olive branches of peace, carried deep meaning in an America longing for victory and stability. Now here's where the shock comes in. Most 1944 Murcury dimes are worth just a few dollars above their silver content in lower grades. But in higher condition, especially uncirculated with full bands, the story changes dramatically. Some pristine 1944 dimes with razor-sharp details have sold for jaw-dropping sums, reaching into the tens of thousands. And when you add rare mint mark varieties into the mix, the value explodes even further. Take the famous 1944D over S mint mark error. This remarkable variety occurred when the Denver Mint accidentally struck dimes with the leftover San Francisco S mint mark die. Later corrected with a D. If you look closely under magnification, you'll see the ghostly outline of an S beneath the bold D. To the average person, it's invisible, but to a collector, it's like discovering buried treasure. Even in circulated grades, this error can fetch thousands. And in top uncirculated condition with full bands, you're talking values shooting past $100,000, with some examples pushing well beyond $250,000. Collectors crave the 1944 dime because it represents the final stretch of the Murcury dime series before production stopped in 1945. Demand is always strong, and when rare mint errors appear, the bidding wars are fierce. Imagine walking into a coin shop with a simple-looking 1944 dime and walking out with the check that could pay off your house. That's the kind of shock that keeps collectors searching. So, how do you identify a potentially valuable 1944 dime? Start by checking the mint mark on the reverse, just to the right of the fasces. If it's a Denver issue, take a close look with a magnifier. Does it look like there's an S hiding under that D? If so, you may have the ultra-rare 1944D over S variety. Next, check the bands on the fasces. If they're fully separated and crisp, you've got a full bands dime, which is always worth far more. And of course, condition matters. Even in fine condition like this one, the story is fascinating. But as you climb into higher grades, the values can be staggering. Picture it, a dime minted during the darkest days of war, carried in the pockets of Americans waiting for news from overseas, could today bring a six-figure windfall. That's what makes the 1944 Murcury dime so special. It's not just silver, it's survival, history, art, and possibly your golden ticket. And here's the best part, we're not done yet. We still have 2 more Murcury dimes to uncover, and trust me, the values and surprises are only going to get bigger from here. If you're enjoying this journey so far, don't forget to subscribe, because the next coin will make your jaw drop. Now, we come to 1945, the final year the Murcury dime was ever struck. And what a finale it was. By this time, America was celebrating the end of World War II. Troops were coming home. The world was changing, and tucked into the pockets of ordinary Americans were dimes like this one, carrying both the joy of victory and the weight of sacrifice. Holding a 1945 Murcury dime in fine condition is like holding the closing chapter of one of the greatest coin stories ever told. But don't let the common year fool you, because this dime has one of the most jaw-dropping secrets in all of U.S. coinage. You see, in 1945, the Philadelphia Mint produced one of the rarest varieties collectors have ever chased, the famous 1945 Micro S Murcury dime. To the naked eye, it looks like any other San Francisco minted dime, but under magnification, the S mint mark is noticeably smaller, a mistake that turned this final year issue into one of the most legendary rarities of the entire series. Now here's where the wow factor kicks in. A regular 1945 Murcury dime in fine condition only be worth a few dollars, maybe a bit more depending on silver prices. But the Micro S variety? Even in lower circulated grades, it can command thousands. And when you step into uncirculated territory with strong luster and full bands, hold on to your seat, because some of these have reached values in the $150,000 to $300,000 range. In fact, high-end examples have pushed collectors into bidding wars that ended near $500,000. Think about that for a moment. A dime smaller than your thumb, struck in the final year of the series, commanding the kind of price that could buy a mansion. The 1945 dime also carries another thrill. It marked the end of Adolph Weinmann's breathtaking Wing Liberty design. After this year, the U.S. Mint retired the Murcury dime and introduced the Roosevelt dime in 1946. That alone makes the 1945 dime historically important, because it was the last time Americans would ever see Weinmann's iconic Liberty wearing her winged cap. Collectors always chase last year of issue coins, and with this one, the demand has only grown stronger. So, how do you know if your 1945 Murcury dime might be a hidden jackpot? First, check the reverse for the mint mark. If it's an S, get out a magnifier. Compare the size of that S to a normal one. If it looks unusually small, almost cramped, you may be looking at the micro S variety. Next, inspect the fasces bands. If they're sharp and fully separated, you've got the coveted full bands designation, which boosts the value enormously. And of course, overall condition matters. The cleaner the details, the higher the payday. Imagine it a dime that might have rattled in a soldier's pocket as he returned home from war, or bought a cup of coffee to celebrate victory, could today bring life-changing wealth. That's the story of the 1945 Murcury dime. It's the perfect ending to the series, a coin that symbolizes both America's triumph and the endless surprises hidden in our change. And believe it or not, we've saved the biggest shock for last. The final Murcury dime on this list isn't just rare, a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. The kind of coin that makes headlines and leaves collectors absolutely speechless. Stay with me, because this last one is going to blow you away. And now, we finish with one of the most captivating Murcury dimes of them all. The 1935, shown here in extra fine condition. Just look at it. The sharp details in Liberty's curls, the wing cap still crisp, the fasces on the reverse standing proud with strength and unity. This isn't just another dime. This is history frozen in time, a treasure from the heart of the Great Depression. The year 1935 was one of struggle and resilience in America. Families stretched every coin to survive, and silver dimes like this one changed hands thousands of times in daily life. That makes finding an extra fine example today something truly special. Most of these coins were down to near slicks from decades of circulation, but here, the details still shine through. A survivor, and a potential fortune waiting to be uncovered. Now, let me tell you the shocking part. In ordinary circulated condition, the 1935 Murcury dime may start at only a handful of dollars over silver value. But once you cross into higher grades, the story changes, and it changes fast. Extra fine and uncirculated examples are worth hundreds, even thousands. But add the rare full bands designation, and suddenly you're looking at staggering sums. Collectors will pay tens of thousands for a pristine 1935 full bands dime with sharp strike quality. And when you step into gem mint states with flawless surfaces, that's where the price tags can leap into the six-figure range. But wait, there's more. The 1935 issue is also notorious for rare mint errors. Some dimes from this year were struck slightly off-center, others with double dies in the lettering, and even a few with repunched mint marks. These errors, when combined with strong condition, can send values skyrocketing. We're talking about coins that have reached $250,000, $400,000, and in ultra-rare cases, close to the $500,000 mark at major auctions. That's right, $500,000 for a dime minted during the depths of the Great Depression. A dime that may have once bought a loaf of bread, now worth more than most people's homes. So, how can you tell if your 1935 Murcury dime might be the jackpot? Start by looking at the reverse fasces. Do you see those bands clearly separated? If so, you may have a full band specimen. Then, examine the date and lettering carefully under magnification. Look for doubling or unusual shapes that could indicate a rare error. And finally, study the condition. The sharper the details, the more collectors will fight over it. Think about the journey of this coin. Struck in 1935, carried in pockets through years of hardship, carefully preserved through decades, and now, in extra fine condition, it holds the potential to change someone's life. That's the beauty of coin collecting, the idea that something so small, so ordinary on the surface, could hide a story and a value so extraordinary. And there you have it, 5 ultra-rare Murcury dimes that could be worth a fortune. From the overlooked 1936, to the wartime 1942, the powerful 1944, the legendary 1945, and now the stunning 1935, each one proves that treasures still hide in plain sight, waiting to be discovered. So the next time you come across an old Murcury dime, don't dismiss it as pocket change. Take a closer look. You might just be holding a piece of American history worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. If this video shocked you, and I know it did, make sure to hit that subscribe button and join us again here on Us Mint Mysteries. Because who knows, the next coin we uncover could be the one that turns ordinary change into an unbelievable fortune.